Two brothers got married on the same day. One married a rich girl, envied by everyone. The other married a beggar, ridiculed by the entire village. The elder brother married the daughter of a local tycoon. On their wedding day, luxury cars lined up, dowries piled high like a small mountain, gold necklaces, designer bags, and bundles of cash were laid out on the table. Firecrackers exploded deafeningly, and the whole village gathered to watch. Everyone praised the elder brother for his success, saying he would never have to worry about food or drink and would enjoy a life of luxury. The younger brother married a girl who picked up trash on the street every day, dressed in rags. There were no luxury cars, no dowry, not even a new dress. The younger brother picked her up in an old tricycle. The villagers gathered at the door, pointing and laughing, saying the younger brother was foolish to marry a beggar, that he would never be able to hold his head high again, and that he had brought shame to the family. The older brother stood to the side with a disdainful look, pointing at the younger brother and saying, "You're really asking for trouble. You'd rather have a good life than marry a beggar. If you die poor, don't come looking for me. Don't drag our family down with you." The girl lowered her head, turning her tattered back, not daring to speak. The younger brother held her hand tightly and said earnestly, "I don't care what you wear. I only care about your heart, okay? I'll protect you for the rest of my life." The younger brother rode his tricycle, taking the girl home without looking back. The older brother shouted from behind, "Just you wait. Sooner or later, you'll come crying back to me begging for my life." After the marriage, the older brother moved directly into his father-in-law's large villa. He didn't need to work, spending his days eating, drinking, playing cards, and showing off. He always held his head high, thinking he was superior to everyone. He boasted to everyone about how powerful his father-in-law was, saying he would never have to live a hard life again. He also frequently belittled his younger brother in the village, saying he was a good-for-nothing who could only live like a beggar. But not long after, the rich girl's attitude changed. She complained that her older brother was incompetent, that her mother-in-law dressed poorly, and that her cooking was terrible. She would throw things at the slightest provocation. She would make a scene, and whenever she was unhappy, she would go back to her parents' home to stir up trouble, instigating her parents to discipline her older brother. Her parents-in-law didn't treat him like family either. They made him do hard labor all day long, running errands, carrying things, taking care of the elderly, and managing the business, working from morning till night without paying him a penny. If her older brother showed the slightest negligence, she would publicly berate him for being a freeloader and having no ambition, showing him no mercy whatsoever. To maintain his wealthy lifestyle, the older brother could only swallow his anger and suffer in silence. He didn't even dare to stay long when visiting his parents, fearing his in-laws' wrath. The younger brother and his girlfriend lived a very hard life, residing in a dilapidated old house with drafts, but they were of one mind, caring for and helping each other. Every day before dawn, the girl would go out to collect recyclables, clean for others, mend clothes for neighbors, and then come home to do laundry, cook, and keep the house in perfect order. Her younger brother would work on construction sites, carrying cement, moving bricks, loading and unloading goods, never complaining, no matter how tired he was. The two of them lived frugally, keeping their home spotless and never losing their temper with each other. Life was hard, but it was filled with warmth. Some villagers deliberately bullied them, throwing garbage at their doorstep and spitting on them. Children would follow the girl around calling her a beggar, and some villagers, emboldened by alcohol, would come to their door to harass them, saying the girl brought poverty and demanding the younger brother drive them away. Each time, the younger brother would protect the girl and patiently argue with them, but the other side was outnumbered, and the situation always turned ugly. The girl would always pull her younger brother aside and say, "Don't argue with them. Let's just live our lives well. We don't need to care about what others think." Not long after, a serious water pollution outbreak occurred in the city. The tap water tested positive for pollutants and became undrinkable. The bottled water in supermarkets was sold out, and retailers hoarded expensive bottled water. Even with money, safe drinking water was unavailable, leaving every household in a state of distress. The elderly and children, suffering from severe thirst, had to travel miles to dig for water from a polluted ditch, but the water was undrinkable. The wealthy woman's father-in-law's business was also severely impacted. His properties were shut down due to the water pollution, causing a break in his cash flow, and he was constantly worried. She frequently took her anger out on her eldest brother, berating him for being useless and unable to help alleviate the family's burden. The eldest brother lived in constant fear, barely daring to breathe. Just when everyone was at their wits' end, in despair and helplessness, the younger brother's daughter stepped forward. She pulled an old map from a tattered bag and pointed to a desolate, abandoned mountain behind the village, saying there was a pristine, unpolluted natural spring there that could save them all. Upon hearing this, the younger brother immediately offered his full support, accompanying his daughter under the scorching sun to search for the spring. The two men, armed with hoes and buckets, dug for 3 whole days in the barren mountains, their hands and feet blistered, before finally finding the spring hidden deep within the rocks. The spring water was clear and sweet, and after testing, it was perfectly safe to drink. The young woman then used all the money she had saved from her begging days to buy water pipes, a water pump, and water purification equipment. Together with her younger brother, they laid pipes to bring the spring water to the village entrance, providing free drinking water to everyone. They also set up temporary water collection points for the elderly and children. The villagers were initially skeptical, but after tasting the water, they were all astonished and came to thank her profusely. No one dared to look down on the young woman who had once been mistaken for a beggar. The young woman wasn't a beggar at all. She was a top student majoring in water conservancy, and her family owned a nationwide chain of water purification businesses. Previously, her parents were maliciously framed by competitors, their company was seized, and her family was forced to separate. She disguised herself as a beggar and hid in the countryside, evading pursuers while gathering evidence of their illegal activities and searching for trustworthy people who were not greedy for wealth. The young woman was skilled in water source exploration, water treatment, and purification technology. She not only brought in mountain spring water, but also helped the village plan a water source protection area, built a long-term water purification station, and taught villagers how to protect and purify water, freeing them from the torment of water scarcity. Gradually, no one called her a beggar anymore. Everyone regarded her as their savior and respected her from the bottom of their hearts. Just as the village was slowly returning to a stable life, the wealthy woman's family collapsed completely. Her father-in-law was investigated by relevant departments for long-term illegal business operations, malicious hoarding of goods, and huge debts. His company was seized, all his assets were confiscated, and he was left with a mountain of debt. Later, the wealthy girl's family fell into poverty, and she could no longer enjoy her former riches. One night, she absconded with the last of her family's cash and valuables, disappearing without a trace. The eldest brother was chased by creditors, ambushed and beaten in alleyways. Homeless and desperate, he could only slink back to the village. He dared not go out, fearing the villagers' ridicule, and spent his days hiding in his dilapidated old house. His life was miserable. He couldn't even afford a hot meal. To express gratitude for the girl's life-saving grace, the village held a grand Thanksgiving banquet, inviting town leaders, local prominent entrepreneurs, and media reporters to thank the girl for her contributions to the village. Hearing that the banquet was full of important figures, the eldest brother tried every means to sneak into the venue, hoping to curry favor with the powerful and find a way to turn his life around. But as soon as he entered, he saw his younger brother and the girl sitting in the most honored seats, accompanied by town leaders. Everyone in the room was extremely respectful, offering toasts to the couple. The older man, instantly enraged and consumed by jealousy, rushed over, pointed at the girl, and shouted taunts. "You, a beggar who collects trash, dare to sit here? You must have sneaked into freeload." His words grew increasingly offensive and agitated. He abruptly shoved the girl aside, causing her cloth bag to fall to the ground, scattering her company's share certificates, the water purification company's seal, certificates of large charitable donations, and a notice of exoneration and closure of her case. The older man pointed at the items on the ground, yelling, "You stole all of this. How could a beggar have such valuable things? Security, arrest them." The surrounding guests, witnessing this, began to murmur amongst themselves, all looking at the girl with suspicion. At this critical moment, the CEO of the banquet's organizer, the largest local water purification group, rushed over. Upon seeing the girl, he immediately bowed respectfully and exclaimed, "Chairman, you're back. The villains who framed your parents have all been apprehended. All your family's businesses, water purification plants, water sources, and branch companies have been returned to their rightful owners. The entire group is yours." The entire room fell silent instantly, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone stared wide-eyed, unable to believe what he was seeing. The eldest brother stood frozen, his face ashen, his legs giving way, collapsing to the ground, completely dumbfounded, unable to utter a single word. The younger brother coldly looked at him, saying only, "I married someone kind and virtuous. You married someone greedy and vain." The eldest brother collapsed to the ground, weeping bitterly, his heart breaking. The wealth and status he had desperately clung to had vanished in an instant, while the beggar girl he had once despised was truly kind and compassionate. A truly capable person doesn't judge others solely on appearance or family background. A kind and upright heart, along with gratitude, is the most reliable life support. Choosing a kind and down to earth person is more reassuring and sustainable than marrying into any wealthy family.